Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome, everybody, to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. I hope it's a great day for you today. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining me. This is an opportunity for you to learn about all different aspects of what it means to be an emotional eater and what it means to overcome emotional eating. And we're not focused as much on food and weight and nutrition as we are, although that has its place, but we're more generally focused on you and your life and how to really be more emotionally balanced, happy, and free on all levels. And that will absolutely play out in your relationship with food. So today I'm excited about my guest, Lillian McDermott, and she is the host of whenyouneedafriend.com, and it's a radio show actually that I was recently on, and I had so much fun with Lillian. Welcome, Lillian, by the way.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on your show. I loved having you on my show. Now I get to experience, you get to be the driver.
Yeah, it's so fun. And it was so fun being on your show. And I just thought, this woman is awesome. And I want to bring her energy over to the Heal Your Hunger show so other people can experience you for the first time. And I really just love what you're doing with your show. It's a daily show, Monday through Saturday. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And this woman has it all dialed in. Like, she's got all the pieces much more organized than I do. And it's just, she's really done a great job. And I just commend you for that, because I know that's a lot of work and it's a lot of thankless work. I know, putting on a show doesn't just happen. And it's a lot of really thankless work. And so I just really admire your commitment to your audience for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me about how that came about. I mean, thank goodness nowadays we can start a show, and it's so much easier than it was, although you're syndicated. I mean, you're in on many different stations.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. The radio show started, it's amazing. There's a story about a farmer that lost something, and the villagers were like, "Oh, poor thing." And the farmer would say, "Maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see." And so the story continues. I don't know how much time we have, but the story continues that every time something bad would happen and everybody thought it was unfortunate, then something good would happen and everybody thought it was a great fortune. Every time the farmer would respond, "Maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see." So I started radio as a result of something that happened that wasn't very fortunate. I was hired by a company that offered me a lot of money, and there was a non-compete clause in a 90-day out clause that they could let me go at any time. So they seduced me into this field that I was really good at, and on the 89th day, they took all my contact information. They took everything.
Oh my goodness.
And they called me up and said, "We love what you're doing, but we decided to eliminate the position." Well, maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see. So I immediately wrote to a couple of doctors that I was working with at the time. And I said, "Just want to let you know that it's been a pleasure serving you. I'm no longer working with this company." And it was the first time anyone had let me go for anything. And I questioned it before I signed that contract, right? And so I texted the #1 neurosurgeon in the state of Florida, let him know what a pleasure it's been to get to know him. I had heard about him for such a long time, and to get to know him during this time, but I was no longer working for this company. It's been a pleasure to serve you. The text that I got from him is, "I'm about to go into neurosurgery. He's a neurosurgeon. I'm about to go into surgery, and I don't care what you do. You need to start your own company, and I'll be your first client."
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
So that's how maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see. So as a result of working with this client, and then by the way, I sent a text to another doctor who had 4 clinics. And he also answered, I don't care what you do. I want to be your client, blah, blah, blah. And so I started my company. It's called Lillian M. McDermott and Associate, because obviously I lack creativity, the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, the Lillian McDermott. So then what happened was, when you're in a company, you have to grow. You have to grow with the flow. And so I noticed that there was a need, and I started a marketing campaign for my clients. And someone suggested to go on the radio. And I said, okay. So I got an appointment to be interviewed by the owner of the station, local in Brevard County. And after a 30-minute interview, he came into the room that I was in and he went, wow, how long have you been doing radio? And I went, 30 minutes. And the rest is history. And so what started off, and who gets offered a show? Who it was meant to be, Tricia. Yeah. It was just meant to be. I believe that we have got to say a resounding yes to life. Because when we say yes to life, then all of a sudden doors open, opportunities open. But during this time, when I was offered the show, they asked me, if we offered you a show, what would it be on? And I'd say, I've always wanted to have a good friend to turn to, one that I knew. Like, people turn to me for that, but I wanted to be that, for everybody, or I wanted to have one. And so that need for friendship and fellowship and all of that, that's what started whenyouneedafriend.com. Which, by the way, I purchased 3 years prior as my marketing campaign.
Wow.
So it all works out. Maybe yes,
it does.
Maybe no, we'll see.
Yeah.
And so here we are. It's been 7 years. And the woman that started the show is not the woman that is before you today.
No kidding.
Completely different.
I believe that. Different. I believe that it becomes your classroom for growth, doesn't it?
It is my classroom. It absolutely has been. When I first started the show, it was all about being a compliant patient and following protocol and man, I don't even recognize me. As a matter of fact, my husband and I we'll be celebrating 24 years. But when we were 20 years married, our kids got together and they thought this was a big deal. And they made us a dinner and they wanted to watch the video. And after it was done, we were going home, my husband and I said, I didn't recognize her. Meaning me.
Yep.
It was, I didn't have a voice. I was behind my husband, kind of like really, really shy. And all of a sudden, it was, you're not that person anymore. What changed? And what changed was that I knew that doing the radio, people would be listening and I better be responsible. And one thing led to another, and someone challenged me on the air to go raw vegan for a month. And I said, bring it. I can do anything, right? But how I felt 3 days, 4 days after, I thought, wow, I feel better. And if I feel better with food, what else is out there? What else have I been lied about? What else? And I went from this compliant, the doctor's always right, afraid of the white coat, do as I've been told, to bring it. I am ready to learn a new truth, and I am ready to proclaim it once I verify it. And so that's where I'm at today, 7 years later.
And that's what's so inspirational about you. I love your hunger, play on words here, but I love your hunger for personal growth. And, that is really what it takes. And I know, I have that same hunger because,
yes, you do.
There's no finish line here. We're constant, I really believe we need to strive for constant, never ending improvement, you know, and there's so many opportunities for that, especially now that we can go online and read articles and blogs and listen to podcasts and shows. And it's just, there's so many opportunities. But I know in terms of, you know, the emotional eating perspective, I mean, food is just what gets our attention. I mean, food's not the issue. Weight is not the issue. That's just what, you know, puts enough pressure on us that we take some action to get out of our rut, you know, and once we take that action, a whole new world opens up. And if I'm not constantly growing and improving and learning about myself, you know, I'm going backwards. It's either forwards or backwards. There's no treading water. And that's the beautiful thing. And that's why I just love you and love your great energy, because you're in it, and you are, I'm in it for win it.
I'm in it to win it. Well, here's the thing, Tricia. I felt that same energy and passion with you. And I think that's why we were like, oh my God, kindred spirits, because we're doing the same thing. But isn't it sad? Isn't it sad when we feel alone, when we feel like we're doing something and there's nobody there, and all of a sudden the doors are open with that huge yes. You said yes to coming on the show. I said yes to coming on your show, which is our second date, you know? So this is, you know, we get to know each other. Wow, we're doing the same things at the same time. We're building an army. And it's like Fight Club. Do you remember? I just did a show on the movie Fight Club, because when I became a life coach, I was forced to watch that, because I was no longer compliant. I was about to enter my 50th year, and I was like, I am not going to put up with this. And so the guy that was coaching me said, you have got to watch Fight Club, because they were teaching me how to enroll people, how to get people to want to join the mission, and I wanted to tell them about how to get to. It was like, I went to France and I'm telling you all about the plane ride. Right. No, I want to hear about France. I want to hear about that. And he was like, no, don't tell people about the plane ride. Tell people about the experience and the vacation. And so he says, you need to see the movie Fight Club. And I'm like, what? And so just recently I did a show on the movie The Fight Club, because
that's funny.
Have you ever watched Fight Club?
No, I've always heard about it and I've never watched it.
It is the most violent, horrible movie ever. However, there's a lot of meaning in it. And so Rob Landers, who is an actor, a local actor, he does a lot. He loves that movie. And I get interviewed by Florida Today once a month. I go on television with them, and we talk about the article that I write. And I was talking about Fight Club and how horrible. He comes out of his booth after recording us and he goes, I'm telling you, Fight Club is the best movie. You need to watch it again, Missy.
That's so
I
funny.
said, well, let's do a show on it, because the first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. And that's what my coach was telling me.
Gotcha.
Don't talk about the plane ride.
The thing. You got to talk about the benefits of the thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so we did the show again. And I said, okay, well, this is what I picked up the second time about watching Fight Club. The first rule about the Lillian McDermott Radio Show is you talk about the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. So it's not like Fight Club at all. We want to join forces. We want to feel like community. And what I thought about Fight Club is we go around creating destruction for ourselves. So why not be mindful? Let's be mindful about what we want to create. So many times we don't want to be overeaters. So many times we don't want to be in that alcoholic abusive relationship. But guess what? That's what we focus on, what we don't want. And we focus on what we don't want, then we get more of what we don't want, because that's where our energy is going to be. Yeah. But if we just shift it a little bit and we focus on what is the opposite of what we don't want, what we want. And so that's what we talk about on the show. And it's nice to know that you're out there. We don't fight the battle. We enroll people just like they did in Fight Club. You know, we enroll people to see the value of the vision.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's true. And, what we focus on grows. And I totally believe that. And so much of my life, I just was like, checking my ass out in the mirror. Is it growing? How big is it? Is it growing? And guess what it did?
It grew and it grew. Mine was cellulite. God forbid I get cellulite ever, right? I don't want endomology. Here I am in my 40s. And the cellulite was getting worse.
Yep.
It's like, I'm not supposed to have cellulite. That's for big people, right?
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's actually pretty like natural and normal.
I know. And you know what? Now I say I love my cellulite.
Yeah.
I love it because it's a part of who I am. It's not me. It's not me. It's a part of what I am. It's a part of what I do. But that does not define me. And once you start, I remember a girlfriend, she's since passed away. And I remember her telling me, beautiful women have a hard time getting older. And I'm like, well, why are you telling me that?
Oh,
because, she saw me as a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And I did not see me as that. And that right there. And she said, people like her, which I saw her as a beautiful woman. She goes, people like me age very gracefully because we were ugly from the beginning. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
And it isn't amazing how we see the beauty in each other, but we don't see it in ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's a clue. That's a clue that there's something missing in our life, that when we're focused so much on our physical body, that will eventually change. When we focus on our physical body, then yes, aging will be difficult. So as I was entering my 50th year, 48 years, I was 48 years when I started the show. That was 7 years ago. I remembered there's something missing in my life. And I call it a little hole in my soul.
Yeah.
Just a little pinhole. Just like this, like this thing covers up all the sins behind the wall.
Your backdrop, yeah.
My backdrop, if you were to see what's behind that backdrop, that was exactly how I was feeling. But it was just such a tiny little pinhole. And, there were so many things that I was very successful with, but I did not see it as success because I was told when I was 7 years old that I would never amount to much by my second grade teacher. So those are all things that we carry with us. Yeah. And I heard the hole. I heard it and I felt it. And someone asked me, would you like to go to this course? And there's that yes again. And that yes allowed me to see deeper within who I am. So yes, the physical, the physical is changing, but I will do everything to maintain it in a way that is honoring of my body.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. So beautiful. And it's, as within, so without. You are beautiful. For those just listening, Lillian's beautiful. but
right back at you, girl.
Thank you. It really is the energy, though. I really find that the energy is what's creating the beauty. When somebody's alive, when they're alive and alert and awake, it's just creating this beautiful aura around them, and they're just shining their light. And it's just, that's where the beauty is really coming from.
It does. And, so many of us focus on the body, and healing is a mind, body, spirit. And what we don't realize is that the body wants to align itself with the mind and the spirit. And when it's out of alignment, and here's a quote that, because I also write for Florida Today, I write, with the show and interviewing a bunch of teachers, and the fact that I love to, one of the ways that I heal my spirit is through journaling. And I think you and I talked about that you journal as well. Yeah. And I love journaling. And I remember listening how the body wants to align itself with the mind and the spirit. And I thought, the body won't forget what the brain wants to neglect. And once we go into that alignment, once we fall into that alignment, then, the physical body, we can figure that. We can color our hair and we can be healthy. But if there's childhood trauma, if there are things that we are refusing to deal with, that's when the body and the brain is trying to create so many distractions that the body goes, oh yeah, you need to feel some pain. You need to deal with some pain. So let me send you some pain, because the body is trying to align itself with the spirit and the mind. And we're such a well-oiled machine. And if we could just embrace every aspect, maybe yes, maybe no, we'll see. The things that we don't want to look at are the things that could potentially define us in our life to create a new me.
Yeah.
To create a new you. Isn't that true? Isn't that what you've discovered too?
It's absolutely true. And, emotional eating, comes from, so much of it stems from our trauma and our past and the things that we've buried. And I know that certainly was true for me. And people are so afraid to look. And so even if somebody, let's say they're an alcoholic and they stop drinking, then they're smoking or they're shopping, or they're eating.
Distractions.
Yeah. And same with your stop overeating, then you're shopping or you're promiscuous or what. We're always switching deck chairs on the Titanic, right? We're still covering up, we're still escaping. And it's those deeper things, that they need to be addressed. And people are so afraid to go there. And the thing is, and my program is really meant to support people in that, because we have to deal with underlying causes or else we're never going to stop overeating. Yes. But what people don't realize, which is exactly what you're saying, is that there are gifts there, and facing trauma, facing pain and things that we're trying to forget, while it's painful, it's a temporary pain, and it dissipates. Yes. And God heals us as we face these things. They are erased, versus stuffing them down with food and trying to distract so we don't notice them. Then they persist and we never get rid of them. Just because we don't think of them doesn't mean they're not still there and wreaking havoc on our bodies and our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a conversation. So I am also a certified life coach. And I was having a conversation with a client who was having an issue with her childhood, right? And I was talking about forgiveness. And I was talking about, most people say forgive and forget, right? But I say forgive and grow. Don't, nobody forgets unless you have dementia or Alzheimer's, or who knows if that is a way to protect the brain, even in a deeper level. There are things in our lives that we need to deal with. And so I said to her, it's trust and forgiveness are two totally different things. Most people don't want to forgive because they believe that they're condoning behavior. Right. And what I said, it's, you forgive for yourself and you don't allow people to come back into your life. The forgiveness, it will set you free. Yeah. And you don't have to hate the person or the individual. It doesn't condone their behavior. So I was talking about, it's not forgive and forget. And she says, well, I want to forget. I not only want to forget, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to go there. And my response to her was, well, if you choose forget, that's like having dementia. And she goes, well, I can't wait to get dementia.
Oh my God.
I said, please don't even say that. Don't even think that ever, ever, ever. Because when you forget the bad, you'll also forget the good. So
right.
That's not a good option for me.
No.
I want to remember. And so for people that have, and when people need coaching or on my show, when they listen at whenyouneedafriend.com, one of the things that we talk about is how to release kind of the things that we can't deal with, how to look at the responsibility. We talk about responsibility a lot on the show. And so when she was saying, I want dementia and that's what I want to do, that's what please know that when you deal with things in a way that it's positive, then whatever you're trying to neglect, the thing that you're trying to forget will dissipate. It won't seem as big. But if you're trying to keep it underneath and not deal with it, then that's like the monster that's in the closet or the monster under the bed. It's not really there.
Right. And
it's really not that big.
No, it isn't. And I also, I'm sure you'll agree with this. When we bury it, even though we don't notice it, consciously, if subconsciously, we know it's there. That's why we do all the efforts to keep it buried. But the thing is the train keeps coming around, and we will create, that mother who is, a monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't deal with that pain, we will create our mother in another form, in a boss or, coworker or someone else. I mean, the train keeps coming around, and that's another reason, all the more to do that digging and that healing.
Yes. Have you ever researched the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief?
Yes, I love him.
Well, I had the privilege of interviewing him, not just once, twice, and I got to meet with him.
Cool.
And one of the things I learned with him, and I'm sure that you've talked about this on the show before, and if you do, ad nauseum, if you don't want to talk about it.
No, bring it on, girl.
Okay. So the first 7 years of your life, you're a human tape recorder. You are in theta mode, which is like a hypnotic state.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you see the first 7 years, and I believe, depending on the maturity level, for me, I would say 10. So everything that you see, you record, that goes into your subconscious mind. Now, they've done research, and that every time someone experienced trauma, that trauma is recorded into their white blood cell, right? Wow. And then the white blood cell goes into a particular center. I just wrote an article about this. So that what we call chakras are healing centers. And each chakra combines with, like the root cause. Maybe it's childhood trauma with a family or a coworker, or lack of feeling safe, or maybe you didn't have a voice like me, you developed a thyroid condition. So you go into, so that becomes part of our body. If we don't deal with it, it will manifest into disease that we can later on. I mean, science has just gotten so crazy, quantum physics, that they can tell if you were betrayed or abandoned or have trauma from a female or a male, wow, depending on what side of the body it is.
Wow.
But, Bruce Lipton taught me, that was the first kind of like, wow, these, you were a teacher on my show, so you taught me a lot as well. So there's so many different things. Like for example, people that have breast cancer on the left side of the breast, why not both sides of the breast? What's that all about?
Yeah.
So the left side, the left ovary, that shows that there's a female betrayer. That's a female perception of someone did me harm. There was trauma. And if it's on the right side, which I have a hard time with the fact that it's the right side is men, women are right? So the right side is a male. So if you've been abandoned, abused, or if you've been neglected, whatever perception that is, if you'll have that recording go into your white blood cell, which manifests in that area of your body. Isn't that amazing?
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the work. And listen, I'm just not making this up. I tell everybody who listens to my show, research it. It's the work of Dr. Reiki Hammer. And he is an oncologist in Germany, and he was able to, and if I could go get the book, he can tell what kind of cancer you have, what the root cause is, with the original cause that you did not deal with. And like anger is the liver, the breast is betrayal. And if it's the left or right side, or the sexual organ is betrayal or abandonment, whatever it is that you perceive. So on my show, what I try to do is take these memories that we have. Like for me, when I was 7, I was told by my teacher I would never amount to much. And then at 10, my piano teacher learned that I didn't know how to read music, and she would I would take my music, my sheet music, and I take it to my sister. My sister would play it, and then I would hear it, and then I would play it to my teacher. So my teacher didn't know that I did not know how to read music until we started sight reading, and then I didn't even know where to put my fingers.
Wow.
after a year, you know? And so she got frustrated with me and I went home crying and I told my mom I didn't want to do piano lessons anymore. Well, that day, my paternal grandmother of, you know, so many years of not knowing her, she started coming to the house and I maybe met her like 4 or 5 times in my lifetime. And she told me, and we know you want your elders' approval. You want your grandmother, your abuelas and your umpas or whatever they're. And she said, your mom told me that you didn't want to play the piano. And I said, no, abuela, I don't like it. I don't want to anymore. And she says, well, I tell you what, Lily, if you stop learning how to play the piano, I'll stop loving you.
Oh God. like you weren't already tortured enough.
I didn't know that. I mean, it's like, you know, so this is part of life that it took me discovering that little hole I told you about in my soul.
Yeah.
And going there and stop trying to figure out the world and how to fix you and control you.
Right.
It wasn't until I learned about me, what caused me to tick, what caused me to think that I was so ugly that I needed to be seen and not being heard, not seen, or you know, what was it about it that caused melasma on my skin, that feeling of ugliness? You know, what were those things that I no longer need, that no longer support me? It is until you decide I'm going to go towards what I don't want to like about myself, what I don't want to be found out about myself. Take the shield out, open that drawer that's full of the things that you don't want anybody to see, the closet that's so messy that you don't want, that you throw everything in there so that your house looks beautiful. What is that for you? Yeah. And that's what we dive into on a regular basis. And when I did that for me, it was so healing and so therapeutic. Not only did my husband, I'm like, you need to do this. You deserve to. This is the plane ride. You need to do this, you know, and I didn't tell him about the beautiful experience. It was all about you got to do this, you know? And it wasn't until that moment too, where my husband decided to dive deep into his little hole in his soul, that our marriage became even better and better and better. Because now I'm not trying to fix him. I'm not trying to fix my friends. I'm not trying to fix anybody. I'm just working on myself on a regular basis. And it's so freeing.
Yeah.
Be responsible for the world, right?
Amen. We're the only ones we can do anything about. I love that. And that's why I love you. You're just, I think everybody listening can feel Lillian's amazing effervescent energy and healing energy. So thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me about these things. I think these are really important words for people who are, you know, especially if somebody's struggling with emotional eating and focusing on the food and the weight and the fat and the cellulite and, you know, the butt and those are not the place where we need to put our attention. It's really the healing journey of addressing and healing the underlying causes, because that'll make all the difference. And it's never just a difference in one place. I mean, when you go deep like that, everything gets better. Everything in your life gets better. So,
and we think we're going to die if we discover it, if we look at it, it's going to kill us. No, it sets us free. It's the big lie. It's what else did they lie to us about?
It's what the freedom
that we lie to ourselves about.
Yeah, no, we're talking about freedom here. Freedom, absolute freedom and happiness and joyfulness and abundance and all the other things really stem from that personal work and that personal growth journey. So Lily, thank you so much.
Yes. And I want to encourage everybody to go to whenyouneedafriend.com.
Yes.
And if they become a subscriber, they'll get my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook to help with their journey with you. You know, that's, you know, like we all need to work together. We're all working for the greater good. Let's help each other out in every step of the way.
And your show is every day and all the recordings on whenyouneedafriend.com?
Yes, I'm on YouTube. I'm on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify. If they just search for Lillian McDermott, they'll be able to find it. And if they go on whenyouneedafriend.com, because Lillian McDermott is too hard to spell, whenyouneedafriend.com, they can listen to the show live on the internet by clicking Listen Live. And I'm on at 8, noon, and 5 Eastern time.
Awesome.
And Saturdays at 11. Yeah.
You go. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
And you too, lady. You're doing great things. Thank you so much for the work you do.
Oh,
Because you're addressing things that most people don't even want to look at as well, because food brings a lot of shame.
No question.
Yeah.
I lived there for many years.
And look at how great you look.
Thanks, sweetheart.
What a beautiful flower you are.
Thank you.
You have bloomed where you have planted.
That's the truth. Thank you so much for being here. I just really appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Please share this show with your friends who need a boost of energy and a positive outlook. So thanks again, and we'll see you on the next show. Take care.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.